Girl, be you. That's all that you can do. Girl, be you. That's all that you can do. Don't be nobody else. Don't.
Hey y'all, and welcome back to the Girl Be You podcast. I am Gigi, your host, and here at this podcast, we are creating a space for you to be your most authentic self in a world that is full of chaos. Thank you so much for joining me back for season 4. We are on season 4, y'all, and I'm so excited. I am so happy to continue to share with you all, but I'm mainly so proud of myself because I am showing up, I am doing the work, and I'm just so happy to say that here we are 4 seasons later. I am telling y'all, when I first pulled out this mic and when I first bought a mic, I never ever thought that I would be this consistent and this committed to sharing and inspiring. So thank you so much for joining. Y'all, let's get right into this week's episode. This is my thought for this week. Even as we are in this month of celebrating Black folks and what we have contributed to this world, to this nation, we're not even going to stay there long, but that's a whole nother episode for a different day. I do event planning, and a lot of the event planning is reaching out to vendors. And I'm not sure if it is because I have decided to no longer code switch or it's because I'm just authentically being myself in how I talk. I called a particular vendor and I was getting some estimates and some quotes for a particular thing. And in getting the quotes, I felt like the person was really rushing me and trying to just hurry up and get to what she wanted to do. And I was like, that's fine. Cause I understand, like, she's probably busy. She probably has a whole lot of stuff going on. But what got me was as I was asking for this particular item, the item had it was a sculpture and it had a crown on it. And the salesperson proceeded to tell me, oh, if you're hosting this and you're planning this, I find that a lot of Black people, Black women especially, they really love this particular sculpture because it has a crown on it. And I was on speakerphone because I was on speakerphone in my office and my husband happened to be in the kitchen. So my office is right by the kitchen. And I saw his head come around the corner and he was like, he mouthed what to me. And I was so taken aback that I was just like, girl, what? So I didn't say anything. And so I just let her keep going. And she was like, yeah, because, is the person that you're doing this for, is she a Black woman? And I was like, sure. Yeah, she's Black. And then she went on and on. And then she went to another sculpture and said, oh, well, this sculpture, it's just plain and it's this number. And I said, so do you find more white people use that or more Black people? And I got silent because what I've learned to do, what I am learning to do is to ask the necessary questions and watch people stumble over themselves. Okay. Because baby, the way I asked that question and then she went on to say, I don't, I'm just saying that because I have customers and I have family that are both Black and white. And here's the thing. Everything is not about race, but everything is about race. It is about race when people make it about race. It is about race when the underlining topic and the underlining way that you move is very racially driven. Now, I could have came through that phone and let her have it, but I didn't. I just let her settle in the fact that you don't know if I'm white, Black, or whatever. What caused you to say that? And furthermore, I am not helping you or giggle or laugh through your explanations because you're going to explain yourself and then I'm going to be quiet so I can then hear what you're saying. And that's not who I was when I was younger. And so This young lady definitely stumbled all over herself. I mean, she stumbled telling me that, it was clients that she's had, and she's seen that a lot of Black women do use that, and white women don't necessarily see themselves as royalty and as queens. And I was just like, babe, I'm looking for the quote. Looking for none of that. Like wherever you're at with that, but I'm not going to make you comfortable saying more Black people get this than white people. Girl, knock it off. And here's the thought behind that. Don't laugh over points that need to be addressed. Have the courage to address it, ask the question, and move on. Don't let nobody disrespect you, but also make them think about the next time that they will disrespect you or try to disrespect you. Because I guarantee you, she won't try that again. She might try it with somebody else, not with me though. So, y'all, let's move into the topic for this week. Years ago, I created Girl Be You. And I remember it because I was really struggling. I've always struggled with my sense of self-worth and all of those things. And y'all know the story. And if you don't, I'm going to tell it again because that's always going to be the story of how I got here. So I created Girl Be You because I wanted it to be a reminder to myself. I wanted to remind me that I was enough. I wanted to let those words settle into my heart every single time that I saw it. Because I have always lived from a place of a lot of comparison. And the comparison has always been me against others, me and my path against what other people are doing. My style in comparison to other people's style, my way in comparison to other people's way. And when I say my way is typically when I hang out with my people and when I'm having a good time, baby, mouth gonna be wide open, cackling, laughing down. Okay. My good girlfriend Keisha, I love you if you're listening. She's probably gonna catch up to these episodes a year from now. I don't know. But my girl Keisha always cracks me up because she always reminds me of how funny I am. And I don't even be thinking that I'm funny until she records it, and then she'll send me the video. And there's this one video that I was talking to her about an event that I had to go to. And I was just sharing with her, like, these people had me messed up. I'm not going to go into detail about what I said because, that's one of our videos of me cutting up. But anyway, and I told her, I was like, why do you always capture these moments like this? I was like, that is so embarrassing. And she was like, no, because you are hilarious and people don't know how hilarious you are. And so for me, that kind of, that just her saying that is just like, oh, that's so sweet. Because I have grown up in the sense of like, A, that I'm not funny, or B, that, I don't bring much to this quote unquote table, this imaginary table that I've made up in my mind, or, I'm not like the other girls. So blah, 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 all those things. And so I created the Girl Be You community. And actually, I just created Girl Be You as something to really do. And a space for me to kind of share. And it went from a space for me to share to like, oh, I can really build a blog around this. Oh, I can really connect with other women around this. And so that has always been what I wanted to do. And I, especially now, I feel that when you're in your 20s, you're just like trying to hurry up and get someplace, right? And you're like, I have to have it figured out. I got to know where I'm going. Once I'm out of college, I have this idea of my life and what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. And then by the time you're 27, you're like, oh, I don't know why I randomly picked that age, but go with it. Oh, I'm 25, I'm 27. I should be hitting this certain milestone. Oh, now I'm 30. And now at 40, looking back on those moments, I wish I had have just existed and just been, just be. Just be. And now at 40, about to be 41, I'm very much on my, I don't have it to give. And I am going to show up as best as I can. But the comparison and the pressure, I just can't do it. But also, the other thing too, I shared this in my newsletter, is that we constantly have these check-ins with ourselves about where we should be in life and how much further along we should be. And, I've always had these check-ins and moments where I'm like, dang, if I had stayed at a corporate girly, I could have had the corner office, I could have had the trips, and I could have done this, and I could have. And the reality is that's not who I am, and that's not who I was created to be. And where I am right now is I'm really getting comfortable, and not comfortable like I'm not ready to do the next thing. It's more so I am content with the life that I'm creating and building for myself. And it doesn't have to look like everyone else's build, but it is my build. It is where I am going, and I'm happy with that. And life looks different for everybody. It looks different for everybody. And there is no need to compare, because you rob yourself of joy. And everybody looks different. And so I wanted us to just take time and take a pause to embrace you and embrace what you bring to the table. I should stop saying what you bring to the table, what you bring to life and what you share with the world. And this is the perfect time for you to be you. This is the most amazing time. Wherever you're listening to this, wherever you've landed in life, wherever you've landed in life, this is quite possibly the most perfect time for you to be yourself. And so there are three things that I want us to remember. Is it's okay to look different, both physically and in your walk in life. There is no perfect way to be or exist. I used to have this mindset that I have to be perfect. I have to do it right, and do it right and be perfect according to whose standards, baby girl? Whose? Like, we have drummed up this idea of what the standard is, and that's just not the way it should be. We've taken time to like mirror ourselves and look like other people, and we don't have to do that. And I want to remind you today to take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out, and choose to show up as your most authentic self. Be your most authentic self. The second point is keep learning, keep evolving. The beautiful thing is, who I was in my 20s is not who I was in my 30s. And who I was in my 30s is not who I am in my 40s. My 20s, my 30s, I cared so much about what people thought. I cared so much about how I was perceived. I ran through hoops of fire to make sure that people knew that I loved them. I showed up to things that I didn't necessarily want to be at to prove my love. And now, in this next phase of my life, as I evolve and I grow, I am learning that it is beautiful to continue to learn. And it is beautiful to be okay to pause, rest, stop. And it doesn't mean that I am not close to my dreams or my aspirations. It just means that I am going to be healthy and whole when I get there, right? Why get to your dream being ragged and burnt out and can't see it because you can't even open your eyes, and can't enjoy it because you're sick? Baby, go take a nap. Put that phone down. And I'm talking to myself. Put that phone down. Rest. Let your body be at ease. Let go of everybody else's burdens and let go of your burdens and just be. Learn how to do that, because that's hard. I remember the first time I had to learn how to be still and be quiet. I had a panic attack, like several of them. And I thought somebody was going to come in and attack me in my first apartment, because I had never, ever, ever been still and quiet enough to just be. So learn to evolve and learn that you will look different in different phases of your life. And remember this scripture. This was a scripture, again, this is not a religious podcast, but my inspiration and my encouragement often comes from my relationship with God and the places that I go to gain strength and peace and contentment. And this scripture right here changed my life once I got in college, right? Because I feel like once I was in college, I was having my own personal experience with God. It wasn't based on like, oh, attending a Bible class and doing all of these things to be something or be a Christian. I was just experiencing God on my own. And I used to write these scriptures on a cue card when I would walk around campus because at that time I was battling a lot of depression and anxiety. And there is a, a big chunk of my life during my college years that I don't remember because I was so depressed. And I haven't really verbally said that out loud because I feel a little embarrassed by it, but I also didn't have the tools to navigate during that time, right? That like mental health just wasn't a talked about thing. And a lot of us were just, a lot of us were first generation. Some of us weren't, but a lot of us were first generation college students. And we didn't necessarily have the tools and the resources. And so a big chunk of my college experience, I don't remember because I was very depressed. I had just lost my grandfather, my dad's father, before going to college. My great grandmother had died. My great aunt had died. And these were two women who were very much woven into my childhood. And then after that, my uncle died. And my uncle was one of my blood uncle that I was actually extremely close to. He used to watch me and my sister when we were growing up. And he was the person who planted the seed in me to go to school, to get an education, to get into communications, because I was always running my mouth and writing. And so when he died, I went into a deep, deep, deep depression. And I just remember sleeping it away. And I ended up going to counseling and, working through it. And after that period, I started to walk around campus, going to class and praying. And that's where I developed my relationship with God and praying and, writing these scriptures down. So the scripture that I had was Psalms 139:14. I will give thanks and praise to you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made, and wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it very well. That was the scripture that I held on to because it reminded me that I was fearfully and wonderfully made, and God loved everything about me. And it didn't matter if I was loud, and it didn't matter if I laughed loud, and it didn't matter if I was battling depression and anxiety. Like, I was good because He cared for me. And so those are the things that I want you to remember. Remember to embrace who you are, embrace your evolution, and embrace changing, and embrace that you are beautiful at every turn, and to be your most authentic self. Keep learning, keep evolving. You won't look the same how you looked in your 20s and your 30s, and you won't feel the same. And you have to just embrace you at every turn. And the last is to get a mantra, get a scripture, whatever it is, and rehearse it and say it over and over and remind yourself. And if you like this one, it's Psalms 139:14. And it says, I will give thanks and praise to you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. That means I'm your work, and I am wonderful, and your work is wonderful, and my soul knows it very well. Y'all, thank you for joining me for this week's episode. I hope something was said to inspire you, to encourage you to continue to be your most authentic self. And if you're not already, follow me on Instagram at G_girlbu. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter and all the things that are happening on the website at www.girlbu.com, as well as joining the Patreon, because baby, over there, I'll be telling a little bit more about business. Make sure you're subscribed because there are some conversations that are behind the paywall, child. All right, until next time. Bye, y'all.
Girl, be you. That's all that you can do. Girl, be you. That's all that you can do.